Earlier in that day, Donald Trump told a packed Israeli parliament that the release of the living hostages held in Gaza for over 2 years marks the historic dawn of a new era in the Middle East. To repeated rounds of applause, Mr. Trump said Israel had won all it could and it was now time for peace. Speaking before Mr. Trump, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu personally thanked him for, as he put it, ending the war against Hamas. Israeli officials have confirmed that all the remaining living Israeli hostages were handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross in Gaza, bringing an end to their ordeal. Those who've been freed have been undergoing initial medical checks before reuniting with their families. Many are thought to be in poor condition. Nevertheless, the day belonged to them and, of course, to Donald Trump. As Arise international correspondent Adefemi Akinsoya now reports from Tel Aviv.
Cheers and tears swept through Hostages Square in Tel Aviv as confirmation that all 20 living hostages have been freed from Gaza by Hamas. As per the terms of Phase 1 of the ceasefire, Israel released Palestinian prisoners who were met by cheering crowds in the West Bank. 738 days had passed since October 7th, 2023, when Hamas attacked, killed, and took more than 200 hostages into Gaza. In response, Israel's bombardment of Gaza has killed more than 64,000 Palestinian civilians. But the belief, for now, is that war is over. And if the optimism wasn't already obvious, US President Donald Trump touching down in Tel Aviv made it that much brighter. Trump received a warm welcome to Israel, on land, in the press, and in person. Traveling from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, he, alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, arrived at the Knesset, Israel's parliament. Netanyahu triumphed as he listed Israeli victories over regional rivals. Showering him with praise, Netanyahu then awarded Trump the Israel Prize, the highest honor in Israel, making Trump the first non-Israeli to receive it. He alluded that the other prize may well be on its way. For Trump, it was another opportunity to list his successes with achieving peace.
So this long and difficult war has now ended. You know, some people say 3,000 years, some people say 500 years, whatever it is. It's the granddaddy of them all. And in an unprecedented achievement, virtually the entire region has endorsed the plan that Gaza will be immediately demilitarized, that Hamas will be disarmed.
As he began, a brief but boisterous protest did interrupt Trump's speech. But he took it in stride.
That was very efficient.
Back here in Tel Aviv, Hostages Square remains the emotional center of this crisis. Part memorial, part protest, and part playground. Celebrations have continued late into the day, but alongside the joy, there is reflection on the human cost of the crisis and the long road towards reconciliation.
Well, here in Hostages Square, there is still absolutely a feeling of happiness and of jubilation, but there is a cautious energy in the air. And with the coming of US President Donald Trump, that indeed added to the hope for the future. And as attention now shifts to Sharm el-Sheikh and the ongoing peace process, the question that continues to be raised on the streets of Tel Aviv is whether or not this ceasefire will last. Adefemi Akinsoya, Arise News, Tel Aviv.
Arise international correspondent Adefemi Akinsoya, who you saw a moment ago in that heartwarming package, has been in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv through the day, and she joins me now on the line from Tel Aviv. Adefemi, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and just give us a sense of what it's been like today in Tel Aviv, where you are, and in Hostages Square, on such an important day. I mean, Hostages Square, of course, the gathering point where rallies have been held week in, week out for the hostages.
Absolutely, Charles. It's wonderful to hear your voice, to see your face. But yes, as you've put it, Hostages Square was absolutely the focal point of the Israeli people, be they members or family of the hostages, or whether or not they were just patriots who wanted to show their support. That has been the gathering place. And you see people, you see adults, you see children alike, you see younger people coming together and really showing their solidarity. It was a historic moment to be on the square and to hear the cheers when the news broke that those first 7 hostages had been taken into the custody of the Red Cross. That just heightened the energy on the ground. And then when the news further broke that all 20 living hostages had been released again, it just felt as though a moment in history was taking place right before my eyes, to see the people within Hostages Square finally, at long last, get what they had been looking for. This is clearly, at this point, still an incomplete story, because the remains of those hostages who did not survive their captivity still is unknown, and that is obviously going to be a source of a lot of anguish for the Israeli people, for the Arabs as well, who are sympathetic to the position. And talking about sympathy, with the people I spoke to today, while they are happy and they are hopeful for the future, they are disappointed in many instances in the leadership style of Benjamin Netanyahu. So if there is a leader that they want to accredit this progress to, it will be Donald Trump. And it was quite a remarkable thing to see in the scenes in Sharm el-Sheikh there, to see all of these world leaders stand behind Donald Trump, really as the head girl or the head boy in high school, and fawn over him. And clearly this is showing the world what really might be happening behind doors, which is that Donald Trump seems to be very much a broker of peace, someone whose voice is something that many leaders wish to listen to. And we're seeing leaders across political spectrums. We saw Viktor Orban, staunchly far right. You see Emmanuel Macron, who was very quiet. Even Donald Trump made mention about how he hadn't spoken so much as, a central leftist. You've got Keir Starmer in the room, Federico, so many different political leaders across the spectrum. So it just shows that there is a lot of sway, and clearly in this time, a lot of hope that this ceasefire is something that should last longer than what we saw in January.
Femi, thanks very much indeed for that. I was going to tell you that we're actually going to cross live to Sharm el-Sheikh now and talk to our correspondent, Adesua Gewa Osagie, who's actually there. But thank you very much indeed.